The restaurant glowed with warmth on a cold December night, every window wrapped in soft golden lights that reflected gently against the falling snow outside. Candles flickered on wooden tables, their flames dancing as quiet laughter and clinking glasses filled the air. It was the kind of place people came to remember happiness, to pause time for a moment and pretend the world outside didn't exist. At a small table near the window sat a man and a boy. The man's name was Daniel Carter. He wasn't dressed for a celebration. His shirt was neatly pressed but worn at the cuffs, the color faded slightly from too many washes. His shoulders slouched forward as if the weight of the years pressed constantly against his spine. He leaned in close to the table, smiling softly as he carefully placed a single cupcake between himself and his son. The cupcake wasn't extravagant, vanilla, with a modest swirl of chocolate frosting. One candle stood in the center, its flame trembling. The boy, Oliver, couldn't have been more than 7. He wore a gray sweater slightly too big for him, and a red Santa hat that slid over one eye if he moved too fast. His small hands were folded together on the table, his eyes fixed on the candle, as if it were the most magical thing he had ever seen. "Make a wish," Daniel said quietly, his voice warm but tired. Oliver looked up at his father. "Can I tell you my wish?" Daniel smiled. "You know, wishes don't work if you say them out loud." Oliver thought for a moment, then nodded solemnly. He closed his eyes, squeezed them tight, and blew. The candle went out in a thin trail of smoke. Daniel clapped softly. "Happy Christmas, buddy." Oliver grinned. "Merry Christmas, Dad." They shared the cupcake with 2 small forks, each bite slow and careful, as if they were afraid the moment would disappear if they moved too quickly. Across the room, standing near the entrance, a woman watched them. Her name was Evelyn Blackwood. To most of the world, she was the CEO of Blackwood International, one of the most powerful corporations in the country. Her name appeared in magazines beside words like ruthless, brilliant, and untouchable. Her company controlled industries, influenced markets, and reshaped cities. Tonight, she stood alone. Her emerald green dress was elegant, perfectly fitted, the kind of dress designed for gala dinners and private jets. A black coat hung loosely from her shoulders, forgotten. In her hand, she held a designer handbag that cost more than Daniel's monthly rent. Yet, none of that mattered to her at that moment. She was watching the man and the boy. Something about them pulled at her in a way she couldn't explain. The simplicity of it. 1 cupcake, 1 candle. 2 people sharing a quiet moment while the rest of the restaurant buzzed with larger tables, louder laughter, and overflowing plates. Evelyn felt a strange tightening in her chest. She had eaten Christmas dinners in 5-star restaurants, aboard yachts, and in private dining rooms where servers whispered and wine flowed endlessly. But she had never felt what she felt now. Loneliness. She hadn't planned to be here. Her assistant had canceled dinner reservations when Evelyn decided she couldn't bear another empty table meant for 2. She had wandered into this restaurant on impulse, drawn by the lights and the sound of life, and now she stood frozen, watching a father help his son cut a cupcake in half, as if it were the most precious gift in the world. Daniel noticed her when Oliver turned in his chair, his Santa hat slipping sideways. "Dad," Oliver whispered, tugging his sleeve, "that lady is looking at us." Daniel glanced up, startled. His eyes met Evelyn's for a brief moment. She looked away immediately, embarrassed, feeling like she had been caught peeking into something private. Daniel looked back down at Oliver. "She's probably just enjoying the decorations." Oliver nodded, satisfied. Evelyn hesitated. Then, before she could overthink it, she took a step forward, and another. Her heels made soft sounds against the wooden floor as she approached their table. Daniel stiffened slightly, instinctively protective. He wasn't used to people like her stopping at his table. She stopped a polite distance away. "I'm sorry," she said softly. Her voice, usually sharp in boardrooms, carried an unexpected gentleness. "I don't mean to interrupt. I just couldn't help noticing." Daniel stood halfway from his chair. "Is something wrong?" Evelyn shook her head quickly. "No, not at all. It's just—" She glanced at Oliver, who looked up at her with wide, curious eyes. "You two look like you're having a beautiful Christmas." Daniel relaxed slightly. "We're making the best of it." There was a pause. Evelyn took a breath, surprising even herself as the words left her mouth. "Can I join you?" Daniel blinked. He hadn't expected that. Oliver's eyes lit up. "You mean sit with us?" Evelyn smiled at him. A real smile, one that hadn't been practiced in a mirror. "If that's okay." Daniel hesitated. Pride flared in his chest, mixed with uncertainty. He looked at the empty chair across from them, then at his son. Oliver nodded enthusiastically. "Please," Daniel exhaled. "All right, if you don't mind the cupcake, it's all we've got." Evelyn pulled out the chair and sat down, smoothing her dress awkwardly, suddenly aware that she looked out of place. "It's perfect." For a moment, none of them spoke. Then Oliver broke the silence. "My name's Oliver. What's yours?" "Evelyn," she replied. "Are you rich?" he asked bluntly. Daniel winced. "Oliver." Evelyn laughed softly. "I suppose I am." Oliver nodded thoughtfully. "That's okay. My dad says being nice is better." Evelyn's smile faltered for just a second. Daniel cleared his throat. "I'm Daniel." "It's nice to meet you," Evelyn said, meaning it more than she usually meant anything. They talked about small things at first. The decorations, the snow outside, Oliver's favorite cartoon. Daniel listened more than he spoke, surprised at how naturally Evelyn spoke to his son, asking him questions, truly listening to his answers. She learned that Oliver loved drawing, that he wanted to be an astronaut, that his favorite food was pancakes even for dinner. Evelyn shared almost nothing about herself. She didn't mention her company, her wealth, or her reputation. For once, she didn't want to be known. When the waiter came by, Evelyn quietly ordered hot chocolate for Oliver and coffee for Daniel. He tried to refuse, but she waved it off gently. "Please," she said. "It's Christmas." Daniel nodded. "Thank you." As the evening stretched on, something shifted inside Evelyn. She felt lighter, as if the armor she wore every day had slipped off without her noticing. Daniel watched her with cautious curiosity. He sensed there was more to her than elegance and confidence. There was sadness there, tucked behind her eyes. Eventually, Oliver yawned, his head drooping. "Looks like someone's had a big day," Daniel said. Oliver leaned against him. "Dad, can we do this again next Christmas?" Daniel swallowed. "We'll see, buddy." Evelyn stood slowly. "I should let you go." Oliver hugged her without warning, his small arms wrapping around her waist. She froze, then gently hugged him back, her eyes stinging. "Merry Christmas," he said. "Merry Christmas," she whispered. Daniel stood. "Thank you for joining us. It meant more than you know." Evelyn nodded, unable to speak for a moment. "It meant everything to me." She walked out into the cold night, the lights of the restaurant fading behind her. But she didn't feel cold. For the first time in years, she felt human. And somewhere behind her, a father and son walked home, unaware that their quiet Christmas had just changed 3 lives forever.